In the Lab, a Texans podcast that takes a different look at things. Drew Doherty and John Harris have their lab coats and goggles on, and the Bunsen burners burning. Here's Drew.
This is In the Lab. Drew Doherty with my good friend John Harris, and we're back after a week hiatus. Happy 4th of July to all of you. Happy Independence Day. Hope you had a great weekend with family, friends, whoever. Took it easy if you needed to. That's fine also. John, it's good to see you, man. You doing all right?
Yeah, man, hanging in there. I would say getting ready for the football season.
You are.
And I guess still getting ready for the football season.
Yeah.
Just trying to figure out when that football season's going to be. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, yes it will. Yes it will. You know, yesterday I had some fun. I've done a bunch of Zoom interviews over the last 3-4 months with players.
Yeah. Basically
about once a week, give or take. And I'd done one with Tytus Howard, and he's, for the record, pound for pound, he's one of the greatest interviews around.
He's great.
He's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Gives you a lot of good information. And we covered a broad range of subjects. And one of my stock questions that I ask almost all of these guys lately is, okay, who you are now, if you suited up for your high school team, what would happen? So, like, not 185-pound Tytus Howard, but 300-pound, 6-foot whatever Tytus Howard. And he didn't even get to that part of the question or that part of the answer, because he said, well, the last time I played in high school, and it was interesting, he played at Monroe County High in Alabama.
Yeah. And
they had a tough year his last season. They were 0-9 until they won a game by forfeit, and they didn't get to play. But the last game he played in, they lost, but they scored 30 points. He ran for 315 yards. Like, he was a quarterback.
16 carries.
On 16 carries. Yeah, he was like highlight film. They still lost by about 30 points, which I don't know how that's the case when you have a guy that run for 315 yards. But what made that game interesting is he has a younger brother who was a year younger than him that was at the Hillcrest High School that they played in that game. Yeah. So I guess something happened. They didn't go to the same school, and the younger brother was a middle linebacker and had been talking all week long. Yeah. He said let Tytus talk about how he just lit him up. But I've asked this question of a bunch of guys, and it's fun to hear how their answers vary, because almost all of them want to have the ball in their hands. Yeah. Or I would think almost all of them would want to have the ball in their hands, but very few have said they'd play quarterback. Like, I talked with John Weeks, who Weeks was a really good defensive lineman in Arizona back when he played. He wasn't just the long snapper, not to just the long snapper, right. But he was a heck of a player. He was the state's player of the year, and he said he'd play tackle on offense and defensive line on defense. A.J. Moore, he said he'd only get to play about a quarter and a half or 2 quarters because they beat everybody so badly. He won a state title when he was in Mississippi, and he said he'd play linebacker and running back. But it's pretty funny to hear these stories. Cullen Gillespie, he'd get the ball in his hands, play running back, play linebacker again. It's fun to hear these stories of these guys.
Well, it's kind of amazing, over the quarantine, trying to find, entertainment to watch, various things. I've kind of gotten into kind of going down these wormholes, if you will, and some of the wormholes I've gone down have been, it started with the Elite 11 quarterback show, which every year they have what's called Elite 11, and Trent Dilfer owns it now. And so they produce a docuseries on the Elite 11 quarterback series. And I stumbled on the 2014 version, which had Deshaun in it, which is very interesting because you see, like, younger Deshaun, you see these guys, as younger players, and you see some of the guys, just kind of move up in the year. I kind of started watching them sequentially. And so I got to the year of Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields, and it's like, oh my God, these guys are like, it's incredible what they look like in high school, but they're still not at the size that they become most non-quarterbacks. These guys are 230 pounds. Like, you go back and look at a high school picture of J.J. Watt, and you're like, dude, he looks like a wide receiver.
Yeah.
And now you see what he looks like, and
looks
you're
like a high school kid. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you go through a college weight training program. Then you go through an NFL weight training program. You got individual trainers that are with you all the time. I mean, it's incredible how guys can build their bodies. But to think about, J.J. Watt, a guy like Aaron Donald, who I've watched during this break, who's just incredible. To think about these guys going back to high school, oh, good God. I mean, it's incredible. Now, I will say the flip side of that is when you're talking big-time high school football now, the Katy high schools and the Allen high schools of the world, North Shore.
North Shore, yeah.
Those guys aren't little, man. It's not like it used to be, I guess is the right way of saying it. Boy, their offensive lines are big. North Shore had a guy last year, like 6'8", about 340. He's going to Alabama. I mean, high school players are not small. And one of the games that I watched over the break, I guess it was break, last week, was St. John Bosco versus Mater Dei out in California. It was two of the top 5 countries in California. It was like watching a college game. I mean, it was like watching a college game. I think they said there were 32 players on the field that night that had Division I scholarship offers. Like, dang. That said, I would love to see J.J. Watt go back in there and see how it would go.
I know. You brought up that Elite 11. That leads us to our next little topic. Over the break, if you want to call it, or about a week or so ago, Bruce Feldman, who we're both big fans of, and he does excellent work covering the college game. He wrote a pretty cool article about a chess guy. I say he's a chess guy. He's really a businessman, but it's Seth Mikowski. I think that's the pronunciation of his name. But he's a guy who's worked in business for a lot of different companies. He's helped, turn profits for companies, like major corporations. Panda Express in airports. He got them. He just tweaked their menu pricing by a few things, and they made $30 million more 1 year. So he went out on his own about 5-6 years ago. But he's integrated chess, the study of chess, the strategy of chess, and all that stuff. He's studied like the 5 grandmasters from Europe and the 5 grandmasters from South America and North America and Asia and Africa. He's taken the best of what they do, the best. He's figured out who teaches it the best and who does it the best, and the guy that does it he's integrated that and kind of put it into his life. And he doesn't really know too much about football, if much at all. Yeah. But he figured out a way to get himself aligned with these Elite 11 type programs with quarterbacks. And one of the quarterbacks he's helped out has been Deshaun Watson as far as strategic thinking, decision-making under duress. And it's been really fascinating. I highly suggest you read about it. This guy, Bruce Feldman, he tweeted it out. I retweeted it a few days ago if you want to go on my Twitter feed. But it's really, really cool. The first time they met, they were only scheduled to meet for 45 minutes. Well, Deshaun Watson was so entranced with it that he texted whoever he was meeting for dinner and said, "Hey, we'll meet later." And they went on for another 3 hours. So since then, he's stayed in touch with Seth, and he's integrated what he's doing. And it's going to be fascinating to see how Deshaun's game progresses. And this will be probably one of the reasons why.
Yeah, I saw it on video. I think it was during last football season. I saw it on video. Deshaun, they were doing a video. I don't know if it was on Deshaun. It may have been on Deshaun. But it talked about his training, and it showed him like working some drills and then stopping and then going over to a chessboard, drenched in sweat, and then, moving, chess pieces around the board. And I thought that's a fascinating concept, especially at that position. And to have to – the way that you have to sort of drive the car as a quarterback is not like it is for a lot of us. A lot of us can just get up on I-10 and go 75 miles an hour and just, cruise control and away you go. But a quarterback in the NFL is almost like a, IndyCar racer. You got to throttle down. You got to get through the turns, negotiate this turn and this car behind. I mean, there's so many different ways that they have to think. I don't know if I told you this one, Drew. John Middlecoff, who's gotten me kind of a friend from afar, does a podcast with a guy named Guy Haberman. And And they used to do a radio show together, and then they decided to go off and do a podcast, and it's been really successful. They had David Shaw on. David Shaw is head coach at Stanford. And I saw the tweet. I saw David Shaw, then I saw Deshaun Watson's handle in the tweet, and I thought, what the heck? Like, how is there a crossover? Why? So I watched the video, and it was just a snippet of it. It was about an hour and 15 it was a minute and 15 seconds. And so David Shaw says, I'm really good friends with Dabo Swinney. I was like, oh, okay. All right. I get that. And so he said in the spring of 2015, so Deshaun is not practicing because the ACL injury he had as a freshman. Mm-hmm. So he said because he wasn't practicing, David Shaw said that he got to watch the entire practice with Deshaun. And he said he had never been more impressed with a player not practicing than he was with Deshaun that day. He said every single play, Deshaun would go through the play. He'd know the play call. He'd look at the defense. He'd call out the offense and the changes, what the play was going to be. He'd call out what the defense was. He'd write down what should have happened. He told Coach Shaw what should have taken place. Dabo Swinney would come over. He'd tell Dabo what was going on. David Shaw was like, I'd never seen anything like that in my life. It was the most impressive thing I'd ever seen with a player not practicing. He was like, when you get access, and this is the quote that hit me, he said, when you get access to that brain, he said, that's an Andrew Luck brain. That's a Drew Brees brain. And I was like, whoa, that's heavy stuff to say that about his foot. Now, we've known that to a degree, but to hear it from a guy like David Shaw, who I know I respect heavily, talking about his brain, his ability to process quickly. And then on top of that, he's playing chess. He's learning how to play chess and doing it and incorporating it to his physical workouts, I think is absolutely genius. I think it's really, really cool he's doing that to really just take his game to a whole different level, which hopefully he continues to do each year.
Yeah, we're going to wrap it up on that note. And one little final tidbit from that cool article, this Mikowski guy said, normally it takes people quite a long time to be able to make moves where they can just call it out and not have to look at the board, meaning they say something like D4 to A5 or whatever. And I don't know, that might not even be a possible. Yeah. But he said Watson's one of the fastest that he's ever seen do it. He did it in a matter of days, if not hours. So it's another unsurprising tidbit about the guy under center, and it's another part of why we can be expectant and excited about what's to come this year and down the line. All right, John, it's good talking with you.
Yeah,
we'll do it again next Tuesday. You be safe, you be careful, and we'll talk to you all again very, very soon. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to know when we post new content.